some people get it wrong because they try to get a view rate really, really high. You want to repel people who are not a good fit away.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Joel Irway here, and welcome to another very special episode of Experts Unleashed. And today, I'm super excited because I have my good friend Aleric Heck on the call with us today, and we're going to be talking about all things YouTube ads. Now, I'll be fully transparent. I love geeking out over this stuff because I'm still getting into YouTube ads, and I feel like the last time I talked to Aleric, I told him, like, I'm gonna get in, I'm gonna dive into YouTube ads, and I did, and then I stopped, and then I did again, and anyway, I'm actually in YouTube ads now. We are actively running them, and so this is a perfect time for me to bring him on, get some free consulting, and ask him whatever I can about how and why YouTube ads are the greatest thing since sliced bread when it comes to digital marketing for webinars, call funnels, courses, you name it. And as someone who has run hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of funnels in my agency and with my clients, I can tell you firsthand that the ones who are running YouTube ads, whether it's YouTube and Facebook or just YouTube ads, they see the most stability. They see typically better results at scalability levels. And if you can just, like, my why I get stuck is because the interface of Google ads is just way different than Facebook ads. And every time I look at the Google ads interface, I'm just like, I get freaked out and I just throw it away. But I committed to solving that problem myself. And I can see in dozens of clients' accounts that have used Google YouTube ads, they are crushing it. And so I'm excited to have Aleric back on the show here today. Aleric, welcome, my man. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Joel. I am excited as well, and I'm happy to dive in. I'm excited to dive into YouTube ads and help you out, help everybody else who's listening or watching out. I'm excited.
Yeah, we so we've been connected for quite a few years. I've had you on my other podcast. This is now the second time you've been on my show, and that doesn't happen often. I mean, I only, there are plenty of times where I have guests on where I don't even publish the episode because it's just it's not worth it. And so to have, it's important for me to have high quality guests. And, when it comes to YouTube ads, there's nobody better than you and your team. I mean, you have multiple 8-figure results, maybe 9 figures, who knows, but I'm just gloating and I'm just sharing what I know about your client results. So give us a little bit of background as to kind of like what's happening now in the world of YouTube ads. I mean, this isn't necessarily new for most people, but everything's always changing. So bring us up to date, bring us up to speed with what you're seeing working now with YouTube ads.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to dive into, is the latest of YouTube ads right now. And so I've been doing YouTube, as you know, Joel, but some of the listeners may not know, I've been doing YouTube for over 13 years, YouTube ads for over 7 years. And so there's been a lot of iterations of YouTube ads. And I remember I used to get on podcasts and things like years and years ago, even before our last one. And people would be confused. They'd say YouTube ads for conversions. But now people are starting to see, as you said, it's the best, most stable platform for consistent leads and sales. Facebook costs keep getting higher and higher. Results get worse and worse. And YouTube is only getting better and better. And so one of the biggest things that we're seeing right now is YouTube is making a big shift towards really dialing in their conversion optimization. They've launched video action campaigns, so VACs. Those are also known as responsive YouTube ads. So now not only do the ads appear in front of other videos as an in-stream ad, but they can also appear as you're scrolling on the YouTube home feed. They actually can start auto-playing those videos. We'll talk a little bit about discovery ads as well. But there's a lot of great strategies that work right now. And what I'm excited to do in this podcast and in this video is to break down 2 of my best frameworks around YouTube ads, the 3 key components of a winning YouTube ad script. We've literally written thousands of scripts for our clients, and we have found that it comes down to 3 key components. So we'll dive into that. We'll walk you through some of what makes a great YouTube ad. And then once we have a great YouTube ad, the next step is, how do you get it in front of the right person at the right time with the right video, the right message? we'll dive into the targeting and our 3D YouTube ads targeting strategy. And that has been the secret to over $200 million in client revenue from YouTube ads. We scaled our own business to 8 figures, and it all comes down to this 3-dimensional YouTube ads targeting that I'm excited to dive into as well. I already told you I'm happy later on in this episode to share my screen for those of you who are watching on video, and we're going to be diving in. It's going to be awesome.
I'm excited, man. So let's jump right into it. So, do you want to start with the script? Do you want to start with, I think the script is probably the sexiest part. I mean, I'm sure the 3D stuff is going to be very, very relevant, but I think for most people who are listening right now, it's like, what do I say, right? Doesn't matter if it's a Facebook ad, doesn't matter if it's a YouTube ad, like that's catchy, right? You can't really have a winning ad just based on targeting. You got to really know how to capture people in and how to convert them. So what is, let's break that down.
Absolutely. So the biggest components of a winning YouTube ad, it comes down to 3 key things. You have the hook, draws people in, and we're going to dive into each of these individually in just a second. The hook, educate, where you're providing genuine value on the ad. We'll talk about why that's so important in just a second. And then the call to action to get them to take action off of that ad into whatever the rest of your funnel is. Like you mentioned, webinars work incredibly well, VSLs, trainings, PDFs, whatever that next step is, getting people to take action from the video. So hook, educate, call to action. It's a very simple 3-step framework, but there's a lot that goes into it. And what I'll say right off the bat is the biggest thing that people get wrong is not following a framework and not actually providing value on the ad. So we're going to break down each of these in just a second. The hook, educate, call to action. I'm sure, Joel, you'll have some questions. We'll go back and forth and really dive in here. But before we dive in, I want to say one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they start advertising on YouTube, they go and film a video, is they just have a hook and a call to action. So we're going to dive into the hooks in a second, but let's say you're calling out a problem or you're asking a question. You're saying, hey, do you have this problem? Okay, well then go opt in to my webinar, right? How often have you seen those 30-second, 60-second YouTube ads that feel like they don't really have much substance? They're just calling out a problem, and then they say, okay, go sign up for my thing, or go buy my thing, or opt into my list, or get my PDF. The problem with that is you're not actually providing value in the ad. So that's why we call our YouTube ads the value ads, right? The YouTube value ads is kind of a little play on words there. But the reason that we call it that is to remind all of our clients when we're helping them set up their ads that we want to provide actual value in the ad and educate. Because people on YouTube, one of the reasons YouTube ads work so well, especially compared to Facebook, is people are in the learner's mindset. They're going to YouTube to learn. So if they're looking up how to craft an amazing webinar, let's say, and then they see one of your ads, Joel, or how to advertise on YouTube, and they see one of my ads, or how to lose weight, and they see somebody who's helping with either fitness or nutrition. They see those ads. They're in the learner's mindset. They're consuming content, but you don't want to just have an ad that calls them out for a problem and then says to go and opt in, right? Because it's not providing value. They could just skip the ad and then get the value on the video. What works really, really well is if you can provide more value than the video they were going to watch would have provided. That's the secret. So with that in mind, what we can do is we can break down that hook, educate, call to action. So one of the things that we really like to do is break it down into individual sections. And I recommend doing multiple hooks. And we'll talk about in just a second. I'm going to open a little loop. Once we dive into this, I'm actually going to show you how you can film 10 different YouTube ads, but it only feels like you filmed 2 videos. So we'll reveal that in just a second. But you want to have the hook, educate, call to action. The hook draws your ideal clients in, right? So you want to capture their attention, and you want to repel clients who are not a good fit away. So one of our hooks that works incredibly well is YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. Let's face it, Facebook ad costs are going through the roof. And even when you have a great ad, they're almost impossible to scale. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use YouTube video ads, and then I'll dive in and I'll do the educate. So you can see here, I'm making a bold statement right at the beginning. YouTube ads beat Facebook ads. So whether you agree with me or you disagree with me, you want to watch that video because now you're hooked. You want to
Yep.
see what I'm going to say to back that up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let
And
me
then,
ask this. Yeah. So real quick, as you are building these out, right, and you
yeah.
get a winning hook, right? I'm an ads nerd, right? So I like metrics. What is going to tell you if that's a good hook? Is it click through rate? Is it view rate? Like, what are those KPIs that we look for before we go into the educate part of the ad?
Yeah, so you want to look for the view rate and click through rate. You always want to have the click through rate greater than 1%. You're shooting for a higher, like if you can get 2-3%, then you're doing really well. And obviously, so you're looking to get that higher percentage click through rate. If it's less than 1%, your hook is probably not strong enough. It's not capturing the right people coming in. So you want to have that higher click through rate. But then in addition to that, you can look at the view rates. But this is where people get it wrong, and this is getting a little bit. But I know you and I would love to dive in. Some people get it wrong because they try to get a view rate really, really high. You want to repel people who are not a good fit away. It's like with my ad, YouTube ads versus Facebook ads. If you're not into ads and you don't really care, you're going to skip that video. But we've had clients who have come through, and not with us, but like prior to working with us, they crafted these crazy videos. One of them had like this really fancy car that drove up, and then the door comes up and he steps out of it. And it had a really high view rate. And the whole thing was really flashy. It had a flamethrower in it too. I kid you not. So it was like, yeah, I wanted to boost that view rate. He had like an 85-90% view rate, but he didn't have good conversions on the back end. The reason for that is he was creating a spectacle. Now, I know that's not your style, Joel. It's not my style. I'm not coming out like with cars and all that stuff. But even for him, even though it was, maybe his style, the problem was he's not actually providing. Well, first of all, there are two big problems. One, he wasn't providing value in the ad because it was basically just flashy, and then it was go opt in, but it wasn't actually providing value. So he was attracting people who are attracted to that, who are mostly people that didn't actually have really, that much money or that much businesses, because what we found is on YouTube, people are attracted to more authenticity, right? So that was one problem. But the other problem was his view rate was high, but it was people that just wanted to watch the spectacle of this flamethrower, of this car. It wasn't his ideal client. It wasn't people that wanted to grow, let's say Shopify or Amazon businesses, right?
Yep.
And so you have to make sure that you're pushing away wrong people and pulling in the right people. And what I love is more authentic style ads that, could be filmed in an office. They could be filmed, outside in an environment. They don't need to have all of this flash and different things, because that might actually harm you. First of all, it's not authentic. People who are actually potentially looking to buy see through those types of things. But then the second side of it is you're not pushing people away. You're drawing people who are maybe not the right fit in.
Yep. Okay. So that makes sense. Over flashy, it's view rate is kind of a vanity metric. Click through rate is probably
Exactly.
the more appropriate one. So 1%, 2%, obviously bare minimum is 1% that we're shooting for.
Yeah. For the the click through. And then the view through rate, anywhere from that 30 to 50%. But if you're over 50%, probably too many people are watching. If you're under, let's say 20 or 30%, then too many people are skipping, and maybe you're not reaching your ideal clients.
Cool. All right. So let's now talk about the educate, right? So you got the hook, right? Now let's talk about that second piece.
Yes. So now we pulled people in, we provided value. Now the next piece is, so we pull people in. Now the next piece is to actually provide value, actually deliver. So we kind of are using the examples of what not to do and what to do, with that other example. And the reason I bring that up is some people think you need that. There's a lot of people out there that aren't really flashy themselves. And I've seen them come into this. They say, hey, I've seen these YouTube ads where they're just rolling up with all these cars, all these different things. You do not need that. And those actually, I have seen the inside of some of those accounts, and the back end, the actual sales are not as good as people that are being actually authentic and providing value and leading with value first, right? We've seen it all. And the thing that we teach our clients is to be authentic on the ad. So it's really important. But in terms of the educate section, what we want to do is we want to provide actual value. So you could take the 3 to 5 keys of your offer, the biggest parts of what you do, the biggest things that you can teach, aha moments, and then go through those. So for us, we're going to dive into some of the reasons YouTube ads are better than Facebook ads, right? The fact that it has intent, you can target based on videos. We actually show our screen and show a little bit about how these YouTube ads work, how you can target people based on these keywords, the videos they're watching, why it works so well. In a couple of our ads, we actually talk about the hook, educate, call to action. We talk about the 3D YouTube ads targeting that we're going to talk about later here. And we're providing actual value. So if somebody is watching a video and then we get in front of them by providing value, they're now getting the more value than they would have gotten on another video, because I know how to distill some of my biggest points down into a very bite-sized chunk that over delivers. I want this to be the most valuable ad that they've watched, not just ad, one of the most valuable videos that they've watched, let's say all week or all month. And if that's an ad, then we've got them. And then they can go into that next step. They can go into the webinar where we can provide even more value, over deliver again, then onto a phone call. And then, on that phone call, we're actually providing value. We're helping them map out a strategy, over delivering. And then if it's a good fit, they can become a client. So over delivering, people have known for a long time, you need to do that on the phone call. Then you need to clients, then the phone call, then the webinars, which I know you preach. But what I'm saying is you also need to do that on the ad. The value stack has just really gone all the way to the ad level.
Awesome. Okay. So, this is why I've always been attracted to YouTube ads, is because of the value-based approach, right? And I think it becomes a little counterintuitive to some people, because it's like, oh, well, how much do I teach? Don't want to give it all away, et cetera, et cetera. And like, what if I'm teaching the wrong stuff? And it's like, I don't know. In my opinion, I would rather not get hung up in that and be wrong with providing too much value than annoying people because I'm too clickbaity and too, blind and teasing too much. And so, yeah, I mean, like, it makes sense. And this is why I've loved YouTube, is because they come in with that educational intent. They're there to learn. It's search intent versus Facebook, which is interruption intent. And I think that's probably the biggest reason why you can't scale Facebook ads, at least in the info marketing space, which is the vast majority of, I think, where we play, is that, it's like, how much can you scale interruption-based advertising? I'm not entirely sure, but I know it's incredibly difficult. But anyway, that's just kind of my insights and feedback on everything we've heard so far.
Exactly. And it might work short term, but the problem is long term, the only way you're going to get in front of them is by interrupting again and again. And so on Facebook, now everybody's doing interruption marketing. So people are interrupting each other, and it just becomes this really red ocean, and nobody's really memorable. So I, walk into like Funnel Hacking Live, and people, know who I am. And by the way, that's not me trying to say, like, it's me talking about, like, the reason that that's the case, even though there's people out there that are going crazy spending on Facebook ads, is because on YouTube, they actually see and hear me. It's not like an image that's just designed to really get clicks, right? Kind of that clickbait type thing. It's not a video that people scroll by pretty fast. They're actually watching and hearing me talk. They hear what I have to say. Now, whether or not they skip the ad at the beginning or they watch a certain period of it, they're actually seeing me on YouTube. We call this the authentic celebrity effect, right? So what's happening is you're being seen as that authentic authority in your space because you're on YouTube teaching. And those ads are popping up. So now if they go on YouTube and they see you, Joel, talking about webinars on an ad, they now see you as you're the authority in webinars. They see you as that authentic authority. And also because you're not doing what we said not to do, right? With all the fancy, all that, craziness. And you're just getting out here and you're saying, hey, I figured out how to craft the perfect, mini webinar, and I want to dive into it, or podcast webinar, whatever, you're talking about. You get in front of them and you start providing value and teaching. People are going to see you as the authentic authority, right? The combination of being authentic, being yourself, and the authority in the space because you're teaching on the topic. You're not just saying, hey, do you have this problem? Go opt in. You're actually providing value whether or not they opt into your webinar or that next step. And so that's really elevating you within the industry. And so it really adds a strong effect, especially for everybody, coaches, consultants, course creators, experts, speakers, authors, a lot of the people that we work with. It just works so well to lift them up within the YouTube ad.
Love it, man. So let's dive into the next section. So is this where you want to talk about 3D targeting?
Yeah, and just to wrap up on that, so that was the hook, educate. Just to wrap up on the call to action,
Right,
and then we'll dive into the 3D targeting in just a second. If we have, we definitely want to make sure we've got enough time and stuff like that. But I know we'll be able to dive in a second. But the call to action. So we've got the hook, educate, call to action. This one's really short and simple, but I have found one key secret that's really, really valuable for everybody who's listening to this. So the call to action, getting them off of that video into the rest of your funnel, whether that be a webinar or the next steps. The big thing that we have found is key is to, first of all, make it very simple, exactly what they need to do, and actually tell and show them what the next steps are. So in the ad, we have seen an actual multi-percentage increase. Now, this is low single digits, so let's around 2 to 4% lift, but still every percentage counts, right? In terms of the amount of people actually opting in on the back end. But that can be a really big difference on your opt-in page. If you actually say, when you click the link right here on the screen, you're going to get to a page that looks just like this. Then you literally show the page on the screen and you tell them what they need to do. All you need to do is put in your name and email and phone number, click the button, and you'll be able to watch our webinar, and whether the webinar appears every hour, or you'll be able to get instant access to our VSL or a mini webinar, or you wouldn't say VSL, but like training or mini webinar or whatever it happens to be. But telling them exactly what they need to do, exactly what they're going to get. You're going to learn X, Y, and Z, but also showing them on the screen, this is the page. You're going to get to a page that looks just like this. All you need to do is put in your name, email, phone number, and then you literally show like typing that out with a dummy name, email, phone number, and clicking go, and exactly what they're going to have to do and get. And we found that creates an increase in the number of conversions because it's not a surprise, right? If somebody clicks the link and for whatever reason they're not expecting what the landing page is going to be, or they don't really know what to do, there's always going to be some people that bounce. So if you show and you future pace, here's exactly what you're going to do, we found that more people will opt in. So that one tip alone can increase your opt-in conversion rates. I mean, we found about 2 to 4%, which again, if you're running a lot of traffic, is a really big increase.
Yeah, I love it. Makes sense too. We talk about that on webinar calls to action. It's like, hey, if you're sending them to a checkout page, like you have to show them every single step of the way so they don't get surprised. Because anytime something happens that they're not expecting, there's a high probability they're going to bounce. So awesome. Great tip.
Exactly. And I did open a loop just before. I know I'm so excited to dive into the targeting, but I did open a loop how you can create 10 videos, but it feels like you filmed 2. So the hook, the first part of the video, is the most important for testing because people will watch the video or they'll skip, and that's within the first 5 seconds. And so what we've found, and the hooks are usually anywhere between 10 and let's say 30 seconds long for a longer hook, right? And so what we've found is you want to split test different hooks, but usually the educate and the call to action, those are usually pretty similar. So there's 2 ways to do this. One is if you want to have a lot of hooks, you could do, let's say, 5 to 10 different hooks. We recommend at least 5, but let's say you test 5 hooks, right? You have 5 different hooks. You want to test 2 different educate sections. Maybe there's a way to teach on one topic, which can work really well. Or another way is go higher level on, let's say, 3 to 5 bullet points. Those are usually the 2 ways you want to do the educate section. And then 1 call to action, because it's just the same, webinar, mini webinar, wherever you're sending people. And so what you would do is you would film it individually in parts. So you'd film hook 1 for 15 to 30 seconds, hook 2 for 15 to 30 seconds, hook 3, hook 4, hook 5. You film the hooks individually. And then you film the educate. You film like educate 1, educate 2. Then you film the call to action, all individually. and then you put them together like Lego blocks. This is our Lego block strategy. So you take hook one, educate one, call to action. Hook one, educate two, call to action. Hook two, educate one, call to action. And by the end of that, you end up with 10 different versions with 5 hooks, 2 educate, 1 call to action, 10 variations, 10 different videos you can test, but it feels like you just filmed 2 videos because you filmed them in parts and put them together like Lego blocks.
So, out of curiosity, like when you start testing these ads individually, like how long do you let them run for before you kill them? And like, is it more important to get the ad right first or the audience right? Like, that's always been a big confusion point for at least my audience who runs ads. Like, well, do I split test the audience first, or do I split test the ads first? And it's like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like, how do you tackle that?
I really love that question because a lot of people ask us that question as well. And so I know a lot of people are thinking that listening or watching this. So what we recommend is creating multiple variations for everything right off the bat so that we can narrow in. So what we want to do is we want to test and kind of cast that net, but then hone it in. What we're not doing is we're not scattershot. We're not going all over the place like you often do with Facebook ads. What we're doing is we're saying, these are the 5 best hooks. These are our 2 best educate sections, right? These are the 5 best things we can think of as hooks. Here's us teaching on one topic and going maybe a little bit more in depth. Here's us teaching higher level on 5 topics, and then our call to action. We put them all together. We end up with 10 videos, and we can test those, let's say 5 to 10 videos. Usually we do 5 or 6 per campaign, but you could do up to 10. That's on the higher side. But we could test those, let's say 5 to 10 videos in one campaign, or we could spread them across 2 campaigns. And then we're seeing in that campaign what videos are working best. But we're simultaneously testing, when you first launch, by the way, simultaneously testing the targeting, which we're going to dive into, the 3D targeting, which is layering those demographics, audiences, and also the video targeting. When we're layering all of those together, we're testing now the demographics less so, but more so the audiences and the video targeting. So we're testing 3 different things, and we're narrowing in and we're getting better. But we're using our best judgment on what is going to work for those hooks, for those targeting options. We're going to dive into how to find that in a second. So we're not just kind of taking a shot in the dark. We're making an educated, I don't even like to say educated guess. We're really basing it off of the data. What is going to be the best, based on what Google has access to, best targeting for our audiences, based on what we know about our ideal client? What are going to be the best hooks? And then we let the data tell us, okay, this hook didn't work as well. Let's trim the fat. This one's doing really well. Let's scale that up. Same thing on the targeting side. Once you have some traction, and this might be the case with you already, Joel, once you have campaigns going and you start to learn what videos work best or what targeting works best, then you want to control the variables, right? Then you might want to test a few new videos with the targeting that works the best, or the best videos with new targeting. So eventually you want to do that. But at the early stage, we recommend taking the best of those hooks that you created, the best videos you created, combining that with the best ideas for targeting based on your ideal audience, and then narrowing that down. Trim the fat, focus on the cream of the crop, what works best.
So that's how you start to optimize. So you actually test them both at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, down the road, when you do additional tests, once you already start to find what works. So here's what you might start to find is you might start to be like, okay, this targeting is clearly dialed in, but I need to change the video because maybe your view rates, click-through rates aren't exactly where they could be. Then what you could do is you could say, okay, I'm going to take this targeting that works best. I'm going to test it with new videos, or vice versa. The videos are working well, but there's some targeting that's not working, some that is. You can remove whatever's not working and then test additional targeting with those videos that work best.
Cool. Makes total sense. All right. Well, let's dive into the 3D method. So you got stuff that you can actually share on your screen, right?
Yes, exactly. And before I share that too, and I'm going to actually dive in and show some of the targeting options, which I'm really excited about, I want to talk about what this actually is and what it's not. And the problem with other platforms, let's take Facebook out there. I know there's also been some buzz around TikTok ads, some of these other platforms that are all feed-based and algorithm-based. The problem with these other platforms is you're only targeting in 2 dimensions. You're targeting based on You're targeting based on the demographic data, right? So does somebody have the ability to buy? Are they in the right location? Sometimes you do age and gender targeting, parental status, and then also household income. Now, Facebook doesn't really work as well on that because it's zip code. We're going to talk about why Google works well shortly, so we'll dive into that. But you're doing kind of demographics. Who has the ability to buy? And then you're layering that in a second dimension with who somebody is, what they're interested in, their Facebook likes, the pages that they like, the behaviors they have on Facebook. But the problem is Facebook's trying to fill in the gap. They know, does this person have the ability to buy? Are they the right person? What are their interests? But they don't know the right time. So they're just guessing, is this the right time to reach somebody as they're scrolling? And that's why you need to do interruption ads, because they're not actually researching how to craft a mini webinar or whatever it happens to be. They're not actually researching YouTube ads. They're just scrolling on Facebook. So you need to interrupt them. Same thing with TikTok, right? They're just scrolling. You need to interrupt them. Versus on the other side, on YouTube, you have intent. So the problem on Facebook is you might reach the right person with the ability to buy, but if you don't reach them at the right time, then you may not get those conversions. You definitely won't get the conversions you're looking for. That's why Facebook has a roller coaster effect. Sometimes the algorithm's doing great, sometimes it's not. It has to make up for that right time with the algorithm. Now, when most people go on YouTube, though, they make similar mistakes. They either target based on, and some people don't even know you can target interests on YouTube. We're going to show you that in just a second. But sometimes they just target based on those audiences or interests, basically repeating the mistake that Facebook makes. Again, you're not reaching the right time. Or what they say is, ooh, I can finally target people at the right time. So they just do video targeting. But then the problem is you might be reaching, the right videos. If you reach the right person, this would be the video they'd watch. But what if they're not your ideal client, right? So what if that's not somebody who's actually going to be able to, that actually wants to learn how to make a webinar? Maybe they just happen to be watching marketing videos, but they're more of a social media marketer, right? So are you reaching the right person? You might be reaching kind of the correct targeting of videos, but if you're not reaching the right person, then they're not going to take action. So what we're going to show you is how to do 3D targeting, reaching the right person with the ability to buy at the right time, combining demographics with audiences, so who somebody is and what they're watching right now. And so I'm going to share my screen here, and I've got a couple of slides built out. Are you able to see this here, Joel?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So this is the 3D YouTube ads targeting. You can see here, we're layering the demographics with those audiences, so interest and affinity audiences with intent, that's your video targeting, and we're layering them all together. You're reaching the right person with the ability to invest at the right time, and that is what drives the most conversions, especially when you reach them with the right message, which is your YouTube ad. And that's what we showed you earlier, the hook, educate, call to action. You're getting in front of them with the YouTube ad. Now, on the demographic side, we're going to be breaking, by the way, all of these down. So this is just a broad overview, but there's a lot of ways to target people, right? The demographics, geography, household income, especially for high ticket. That's important, especially, coaches, consultants, course creators. We're going to dive into that. Then layering based on audiences. So those affinities, in-market audiences, custom affinities, custom URL, custom intent. We're going to show you how to reach the right person, but then also layer that with the specific videos they're watching. So the specific keywords, broader keywords, YouTube channel keywords, competitor keywords, topics, placements. What videos are they watching right now? And so if you can layer all three of these together and reach them with the right video, that's what's going to drive conversion. So let's break it down step by step. The first step is making sure that you're reaching the right person. And there's a few different ways that you can do this. Google actually has, and so some people who are familiar with Facebook, they don't even know that Google has this, the ability to build out custom segments. So I'm just using a very simple example, for weight loss, but you can of course use your own example as well. This is just easy for everybody to understand. So you can actually create a segment around people who are interested in a topic or have purchase intention. So you can see here, weight loss, losing weight, people who are interested in weight loss and losing weight. You can actually put in a custom audience the same way you can target over on Facebook. You can find people based on their interests. Google has all this data about all of its users, so you could target on here. Yes, you can also do lookalikes as well. So they're called similar audiences in Google. I use the word lookalikes because Facebook's really popularized that. But you can create similar audiences to your opt-ins, to your conversions, to people on your email list. So you can actually put those together as well. Now, there's also pre-built in-market audiences that you can actually target directly on Google with your YouTube ads. So you can see here, we can target in the market for advertising and marketing services. So somebody who's actually, looking for advertising marketing services, that's perfect for us, right? And probably actually, Joel, probably perfect for you too. So people who are looking to market, people who are looking to advertise, right? You can layer that with other types of videos that they're watching. So now, they're in the market for marketing and advertising. They're watching a video around this. So you're reaching the right person, somebody who's actually got that buyer intent at the right time with the right video. And then we're going to talk about demographics in a second.
Let's go back real quick. Sorry, Aleric. So in market is actually where I had the most success. Like when we are running YouTube ads right now, and we ran it for a webinar 2 years ago, and we did a lot of testing, and I didn't really know what in market was. But if we're following what your framework is, in market is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the timing aspect, right? This is like they're searching, like they're in buying mode. Is that correct?
Yes. So they're in this is actually the combination. This is why it works so well, because this is technically an audience targeting, but it has a timing component because Google knows, is somebody actually in the market right now? So Google's using this data, not just based on YouTube, but based on Google searches. So if somebody's looking up, how to, I want to hire for my ads, I want to grow my marketing, looking up the best companies to work with. They know when somebody has that buyer intent because they have so many signals that we can run this advertising and marketing services. And so this is a combination of, who somebody is, but also the fact that they have that intent right now. And then imagine how powerful this is if you layer this with, and they're also watching a video on marketing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now you're checking all the boxes. And then imagine layering that, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, we're going to break this down in a second, but imagine layering that with somebody who's in the top 10% of household income earners.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a perfect audience right there. They're looking for advertising, marketing, top 10%, which means they're likely, the business owner or high up in a company that can make these purchase decisions. And then layering that with watching videos right now on marketing, we check all the boxes and we're reaching that perfect person at the perfect time.
Awesome.
Yes,
that was. I just wanted to highlight that because, like, of all the stuff that we were testing, in market was like crushing it for us. I'm like, I'm just gonna target in market.
Yeah,
and it was it
does. Believe it or not, this advertising and marketing services, we're still doing a lot of this. It works really, really well because Google knows.
Yep. I mean this is the exact in-market audience that we target too. So don't copy us. No, just kidding.
Exactly. We're revealing all our secrets.
That's right.
But I love it. Oh, exactly. And so then there's other ways to target too, based on life events. So let's say you target people based on business creation, graduating from college, renovating their home, job changes, marriage, moving. There's a wide variety of different ways you can target based on life events. Now, by the way, these little numbers on the right-hand side, I've had some people ask me, they said, hey, I don't think there's, 10 billion to a trillion people. And of course not. What this is telling you is these are all of the page views and impressions that are possible with people who are in these categories. So it's a totally different type of thing. This is not people. This is, Google should really do a better job explaining what this number is. But these are the page views, the YouTube views that are possible with each of these categories.
Impressions, yeah.
Exactly. The impressions available. I should actually say impressions because impressions are different than views. Views is if they watch a video over that certain period of time. Usually the 30-second mark. Sometimes they have now with the conversion-based ads 10-second. So somebody who's a true view. But the impressions, these are all the impressions that are possible in each of these areas. Exactly. There's even detailed demographics. This works really well. We've got a client that helps students with SAT prep. But it's really interesting because students are their clients, but really the real clients or are the end user, but the real clients are the parents. Oh, I don't know what just happened there. So students are the user, but the real clients are the parents. And so they can target parents of teens 13 to 17 years old, for instance, and we can actually do that as a detailed demographic. So Google's added in even more of these audiences, and that works really, really well for them because it's the parents who's going to be making those purchase decisions, but they need to know that they have a kid of that age. So talk about reaching the right person.
Right.
If you're selling SAT prep, you could target parents of teens. You're good to go.
This is also incredibly creepy, but from a marketing standpoint, it's fantastic.
Exactly. It's creepy, but it's also for us as marketers really, really valuable. So it's one of those trade-off things. But Google has so much information. It's sometimes a little bit scary. That's not for me, to decide. But
Right.
we're going to obviously use whatever we have at our disposal. But just to show you how powerful this is and how much access to information you have when you're looking to set up these campaigns. And then you also have affinities. Now, this is actually the counterpoint to what you had said earlier, Joel, with the in-market. Affinities typically work the least, especially for more info-based businesses. The reason for that is this is really broad, right? Lots and lots of impressions. This is better for more mass market consumable, type products. These are the types of, honestly, the types of targeting that, major companies looking for branding will put in. So like beauty and wellness, banking and finance is a huge segment. So usually you won't be doing these affinities. I just wanted to include it in here so you know what to look at and actually to kind of caution you from using these right off the bat. We do have some clients that use these efficiently, but it's mostly e-commerce based clients or clients that, are doing something other than, our kind of main space, the main people that we work with, of course, Joel, in kind of the info space. So if you're selling, you're a coach, consultant, course creator, probably steer clear of affinities, at least to start, just because it's a little too broad. But it is another way you can find people.
Makes sense.
And then we have Google search intent. This is really powerful. And Joel, this is one, have you tested Google search intent yet?
I don't think so. Nope.
I would recommend this because this one and in-market audiences, and also the next one I'm going to show you, which is really powerful. I call it the industry secret. So we'll get into that one in a second, are probably the top 3 that work really, really well for us right now, and our clients too, right? Because again, what I like to say is we've got the depth and breadth of knowledge. We with our own ads, right, we're spending over, $250,000 a month on our own ads. But then what we're also doing is we've got literally thousands of clients, who are running their ads as well. So we've got the breadth across a variety of clients, and then we also have the depth within our own ads. And what we found is this one works really, really well. It's Google search intent. So what you're doing is you're targeting people on YouTube based on what they have searched recently on Google. So you can actually put in real Google search terms, and now the question people always ask is how recently have they searched? Google won't tell you, even if you try to dive into the docs, but it's pretty recently because we have seen this work where you're targeting where people have made a search on Google, then they go on YouTube and then they see your ad, right? And so you're now targeting people who have recently searched on Google, the weight loss example, how to lose weight, best diet, etc. Then they go on YouTube. And remember, we're doing 3D targeting. So we're not just targeting this, we're also adding in, now they're also watching a video. So now they've searched Google for weight loss. They're probably watching a video on exercising. We can combine the two of those together. All right, they have intent on Google. They also are watching a video on YouTube. This is the perfect person. It kind of double confirms it. And that works really, really well for us. So people who have searched recent terms on Google, Joel, this is one you're definitely going to want to test out.
Yeah, for sure. I love it.
Yeah, just imagine like how to craft a webinar, how to make, not craft, I mean, that's probably specific, but like, how to create a webinar, how to film a webinar, like all these different things that people are searching for. They may not be searching for that right now on YouTube. So you can layer that with just watching any marketing video on YouTube. So that's how you can really get specific is you can say, maybe they've searched on Google, webinar template, webinar script, but that now they're on YouTube and they're watching just a general marketing video.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
really
Yeah, I
powerful.
mean, I actually have never. I mean, it's like search ads on Google Ads, right? Basically,
Mhm.
or this is actually historical. Like search ads are when they're actually searching, so it's like they're doing it right
Mhm.
now. And this is historical. Like somebody might have searched for this a couple days ago, right? Am I understanding that correctly?
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly. So they've searched on Google, let's say a day or two ago, all of these things, and then you're reaching them on YouTube the next time they go onto YouTube.
got it. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really powerful because now it's not based on exact timing. It's
Mhm.
okay. You get a little bit more wiggle room, a little bit more leg room, leeway.
Exactly. Exactly. And anybody who's watching this video right now, who has pay-per-click ads running already, this is the first campaign you're going to want to set up on YouTube. You literally just take your best, Google search ads, Google PPC ads, take those ads, or take, keywords, to say, and just throw them here in this Google search segment, and then watch the magic, right? I love it when we have, clients that are already, by the way, you don't need to be running Google search ads to set this up. But if you already have those, you already have done a lot of legwork. You know what keywords work best for you. Now you can actually have another way to capitalize on all of those best keywords you found through your Google PPC ads, and now start targeting them on YouTube as well.
So what you could also do, correct me if I'm wrong, Aleric, and maybe you are intentionally not talking about this, but like, is this where you could also hijack somebody else's brand? So like, if somebody's searching for Russell Brunson, you could throw that in here.
Of course. You absolutely can. And actually, I'm going to show even additional version, even a little deeper version of that in the next one I'm going to show you. But yes, you can absolutely do that. It works really well for us. We call it our competitor Google search intent. And that, we're getting a little bit into some extra stuff. I love it too. That's one of the things that we have a lot of our clients do on this webinar. I didn't have that slide for the competitors search intent, but you're exactly right. You can put all your competitors in here, complementary products too. So, like neither of us are directly competing with ClickFunnels, but if somebody uses ClickFunnels and they know Russell Brunson, then they'd be a great client for you, great client for me. So we absolutely do that. Let me show you another deeper level. There's the URL audience.
Damn.
Right now, the example here I used is a weight loss example, but I'll give the other example that's right in line with what we're talking about. So what you can do, and a lot of people don't know this, and I call this the industry secret, because a few years ago I was talking with a top marketer, head of marketing for a mattress company, and that was doing a lot of YouTube ads, and we were just talking shop. We were going back and forth on the different YouTube ad strategies, and I asked him, like, hey, are you using URL audiences against other mattress companies? And he said yes, and it's one of the best performing campaigns we have. But don't tell anyone. I call it the industry secret. And I said, oh, I like that name, the industry secret. And so, and now a few years later, I'm out here talking about the industry secret. I won't say who, or whatever, but that's where the industry secret term came from. So sorry about that. If he sees this, I am maybe revealing little industry secrets over here. But by the way, this wasn't something I got from him. We were doing it too, but I was asking him, like, hey, are you testing this? And if not, you should test it. He's like, we are. And don't tell anybody. It's working the best. Exactly. So, hey, it's sorry to him, but I want to provide value. It's like our ads. The value add, it works so well. Now, what works really well for us? I use some weight loss examples here, but I'm just going to skip to the example. We're literally targeting clickfunnels.com, digitalmarketer.com, any of these different sites that people are going to learn marketing, or to use marketing, like ClickFunnels, Kajabi, the master Kajabi login, not course itself. And you can actually target based on these URLs, people who have either been on these sites or similar sites. Now, I will use that caveat because sometimes I've said it's kind of like retargeting your competitors, and it is, but Google also will show it to people who are similar to those who go. So it's basically like creating a lookalike around an entire somebody else's website. And you might be asking yourself, well, how does Google know? Well, they own Google Search. They have Google Analytics installed on virtually like the vast majority of sites. Google Chrome, Gmail, like they have everything. But Google search, big one. So they know every website you're going to, and they know who's going there. And so you could target the people going to those sites or other sites. It works really, really well.
I didn't even think about Google Chrome as like a data source for them, which makes total sense. I mean, I'm on Google Chrome right now. I use it every day, but I'm like, oh, obviously they can pull my data history from there, even if I'm not using Google. Like I don't know. God, it's like they're everywhere. Like, Google's everywhere, Facebook's everywhere. It's just wild. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, and then it's like all of the different pieces, and then you start looking at Google Maps and Gmail as well, and that's another way that they can get like the receipt data, the purchases that you're making, so they don't tie it back to you, but they understand like where you're going, like what receipts that get back, like there's ways they can build up like, all right, what are you actually purchasing? I mean, the credit card companies also like so there's so many data points, but also if you go into Google Maps. I saw this recently. I went into Google Maps and it said, "Oh, here's your whole month history of everywhere you went in the last month." I'm like, "Whoa!" And it was literally like dots of like all the different places that I used my phone, all over. And it wasn't just like the cities I like the actual like addresses that I was at. And Google is using all of that information too. There's another targeting option that's actually not shown here. Because again, I have to kind of pick and choose the specific ones I'm diving into. There's a bunch of these, but one of the other ones that's working well for our clients, especially this is more local, but there are ways that you can loop this in, is you can actually target based on types of locations, like geolocations that people go to. So we're going to talk about app audiences now, but there's also audiences. There's audiences now in Google of people that frequently visit gas stations, people that frequently visit banks. It's really, really interesting.
It's crazy. That's absolutely nuts.
And so, exactly, especially when you go down the rabbit hole, it's really, really interesting. App audiences, the last one we'll talk about with the right person. So you can also target people based on apps that they have used. So you can see here we use all these, weight apps. But for us, targeting people who have used Google Ads, Facebook Ads. That's one of my favorites, right? If they have the ads apps on their phone, I know they're an advertiser. So perfect. They might be interested in learning YouTube ads. Yep. And so you could do app audiences as well. I will say this is the one out of all of these that is impacted by iOS 14 and 15. Now, this is actually a really important thing to talk about is, because people say, oh man, Facebook's been impacted so much. How has Google been impacted? Well, out of all these audiences, really the app audience is the only one that we've seen an impact, although it still works. But the reason that these other audiences aren't impacted is exactly what we've been talking about, Joel, which is these are all first-party data. Google knows what you've searched on Google. They know what you're doing on Google Chrome. They know what you're doing on Google Search, on YouTube. They can build all of these other audiences around you. The only one that they're limited with is this app audience, because if you're using an iPhone and you're opted out of the tracking, then you might not be tracked on here. But everything else is data that Google actually has because you have Google Chrome installed. You have these other things. That's first-party data, whereas this is third-party data. The problem is Facebook relies most of their data on third-party data. It's mostly apps like, Farmville, and I just use that as a joke, but right. But also in serious, all these different apps feeding back to Facebook, that got stopped. And then if you think of Facebook itself, yes, they have Facebook, yes, they have Instagram, but there's not as many data points. You're not searching on Facebook and Instagram. So they relied on all their app integrations to give them better data. Google has all of this first-party data.
Yep. That makes sense.
And so,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I honestly didn't get I didn't really get iOS 14, iOS 15. I knew it was going to affect us, but not from a conceptual standpoint of how does it yes, I know my performance is going down, but I don't really know why. So that makes sense. I mean, it's because now that the privacy isn't being shared, that data isn't being shared with Facebook, but with Google, they own all that because you're using their stuff, you're using their platforms. That makes a lot more sense now.
Exactly. And I'm actually really glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that makes more sense, and probably makes sense for some of the listeners and watchers too, because really, what this is a crackdown on. This is not a crackdown on data. This is a crackdown on third-party data, sharing data
Sharing
from one
data.
company to another.
Yep.
So these apps, the Weight Watchers app, sharing data with Google or sharing data with Facebook. That's what Apple is putting a stopper on and letting people choose. And then most people are opting out of sharing data between apps. But there's
Yep.
nothing limiting individual apps from collecting data themselves, like Google collecting all of your searches, all of your watch history on videos, your Gmail emails, Google Chrome, right? That's all first party data they have. Same thing with whatever you're doing on Facebook or on Instagram. The problem, though, is Facebook and Instagram rely very heavily on third-party data and apps, whereas Google has some inputs like this one, but most of it is first-party data.
Got it. Yeah, that makes total sense. So now, like when you see those notifications on Apple saying, "Do you want to hide your email or whatever?" It means you're not sharing it with anyone. Okay, cool.
Yes.
I learned something today.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. I love it. Hopefully a few things too with all that, but yeah, exactly. I love it.
Okay, cool.
And so now we have the right person. The next thing, though, is to make sure they have the ability to invest. And some people skip out on this step, or they also don't really fully understand what are you doing when you're targeting demographics. Well, when you're targeting demographics, you're really just deciding, is this somebody that has the ability to invest? Are they actually my ideal client? Not are they the right person? That's what we already figured out over here, all these interests. Now, do they actually have the ability to invest? Are they in the right location? Right? Are they in the, let's say the United States or Canada or, Australia, New Zealand, like wherever, right? Europe, wherever you happen to be targeting people. So are they in a country that you can service? And also, by the way, it might not be a whole country. It might be a specific city or a specific region if it's more of a local based business. A lot of businesses that, obviously both of us work with are online. They're targeting, a broader section of people. But the question here is, can you work with them? Same thing with the, gender, age, parental status. A lot of clients don't limit as much of this, although sometimes on the kind of that top and bottom age bracket sometimes helps a little bit. But some people really have a specific service for only this age or only this gender or only for parents or not parents, etc. The big one, though, and that just depends on where people are at. The big one, though, is household income. Now, people have kind of PTSD from Facebook because Facebook ruined household income for a lot of people, like targeting, because it's only based on zip code. So it makes no sense. It's like, if you're targeting people in California, like if you're targeting higher income based on zip code, you're reaching everybody in California and nobody in other places. But the problem is, not everybody in that zip code in California is actually in the highest income, and not everybody, in whatever this other state is, are low income, right? It's a person by person. So like we talked about with first party data, Google bases it on who you are. And Google has gotten scarily accurate, very accurate at targeting what household income somebody is in. It's really good at it, especially differentiating some of these higher ones. The difference between lower 50% and upper 50% is really good. And so I'll just break down. Here's what we recommend, because I know there's a lot of people watching this probably have either, high ticket offerings or courses or, coaching, consulting, those types of things. So what we've found is if it's over $100, which is probably gonna be a lot of people listening to this, remove lower 50%. The reason being is lower 50% are literally, like, of the whole United States, the bottom 50%, and obviously, like, none of us want this to be the case, right? Like we want to help people, but we're marketers. We also have to use, and entrepreneurs and business owners, we also have to use the data to our advantage. The lower 50% of household income earners have less than $1,000 in their bank account. So if it's any purchase over $100, it's going to be challenging for them. But even if you have, let's say you have a low ticket tripwire offer, even if they can buy it, you don't necessarily want to target them, because they're not necessarily going to be a higher ticket buyer. So We're talking about your main product, the main thing you want to sell, not just, if you have a tripwire or a front end product, like your main offering. If it's more than $100, which is most everybody here, remove lower 50%. And that automatically, by the way, we have seen that increase campaign performance. I kid you not, by over 30% just making that one change. For people who are selling, higher ticket courses or products, and it drastically improves lead quality. Then, if you're selling over $1,000, we would remove 41 to 50%. So we would do top 40%. Over $3,000, top 30%. So if you're like a course, you're probably going to do top 40, right? Then let's say $997 or $1,000. Over $3,000, I would do top 30%. Over $5,000, I do top 20%. And over $10,000, I'd recommend top 10%. Now, your mileage may vary, but that's our general rule where we start people off. And it has worked really well for our clients. Now, we have some clients that sell, now obviously a lot of clients that sell higher ticket, they're doing that top 30, 20, or 10%. And it works really well because they get higher quality leads, higher quality people, on the phone. If they have specialists that are dialing leads, the lead quality is better, right? They're targeting people that actually have the ability to invest high ticket instead of spending their time with lower quality leads. But then the other thing is, on top 10%, we've had not only like people in the high ticket space, but we've also had people selling literal like turnkey real estate where people need cash on hand, $50,000, $80,000, whatever it is. Let's just say $50,000, right? To buy a house. Let's say they need $50,000. Top 10%, top 10% targeting real estate, watching videos about real estate investing, right? So interested in real estate investing, kind of personality, maybe they're a business owner, who they are, layered with watching videos on real estate investing. We got a turnkey rental property company, the best leads that they have ever seen. That was the quote that they said. And that top 10%, basically they were getting from direct cold traffic, applications and phone calls that were coming in with cash on hand, ready to buy turnkey rental properties. So it's not just, targeting people like $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 offers, like literally talking like $50,000, $80,000 like turnkey properties.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. Again, just Google has it all. Like they know everything about you.
Yep. Exactly. And so if you're in top 10% and you're, interested in real estate investing and you're watching videos on real estate investing, or you're a business owner or whatever, it's going to find that. And same thing with, if you have a coaching program or a consulting program or a course, right? You're layering, let's say you're layering top 20% household income earners. You're layering that with people who have been on clickfunnels.com before or are in the market for advertising. And then you're layering that, and we're going to get to video targeting next. You're layering that with people watching videos around whatever it is you do. So, growing a business, marketing, webinars, ads, weight loss, right? Whatever it happens to be. And you're layering all those together. And that's why you're able to get the best results with that 3D targeting. The final step is at the right time. So right person, ability to invest at the right time. Now, what a lot of people do is they start diving into placements. But the issue with placements, we're going to talk about what we do recommend. The issue with placements is they go in here and have to choose individual videos. And there are tools, and we'll talk about that in a second, that let you find a bulk amount of videos. But the problem here is videos get outdated. So you can see we've got the 2020 and 2021 version of Facebook ads videos, but what about the 2022 version or 2023 version, right? Or like as things go on more and more, right? Over time, it's going to get outdated. And so you have to constantly update these. This is where you're individually choosing videos. Now, this is good.
Just to be clear, you said individually choosing videos. So I want to place an ad on this video. Like that's what placements is.
Exactly.
Yep.
This can be good low-hanging fruit, and it can work well in a short period of time, but it's not scalable and it is tedious to maintain. Because you have to manually or use a tool to automatically find all of these videos and then just constantly refresh it. Every time a new version comes out, constantly refreshing all of these videos.
Okay, got it.
Exactly. And so that's placements. So This can work, but at a smaller scale. Now, I actually want to skip ahead because I want to talk about too broad. So we have topics. Now, topics actually do work really well, but they're not as narrowed in, right? So whereas placements might be a little bit too narrow, and so it's harder to scale, but there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. You're going to get good, return on those videos, because if you can pick the videos, I mean, you're going to pick good videos. If they're watching that video, they're a potential client. Topics are kind of the opposite. They're very scalable, but they might be a little too broad. Although, like advertising and marketing, we have found success. It's actually kind of funny. It's like, it's kind of like the cubed kind of thing. It's like we're literally targeting people, top household income in the market for marketing and advertising, watching a video on marketing and advertising. And that actually works really well for us. You should probably test that as well, Joel. But topics work well when you have a topic that is very in line with what you offer. By the way, a topic is a collection of videos, right? So this is a wider collection of videos, all videos that YouTube deems related to advertising and marketing, business education, small business, etc. So these are going to be good, really scalable, but they're not going to be necessarily, as specific in its targeting, right? It's not as individual.
Okay.
You can also do channel placements as well. So targeting a whole channel, Tony Robbins is a good example. You could target, Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels, for instance. And so you could target an entire channel. Do watch out though, because sometimes channels have different types of content on the channel. So you just want to make sure that you're, targeting a channel that actually has, the same type of content that you're looking to reach.
Yep.
But then finally you have keyword targeting. We'll get back to this slide in a second, because I'll show you a tool that actually, I played a hand in putting together to find some of these keywords. But what you could do is actually target specific keywords. So now, instead of finding specific videos or entire topics, we can target keywords like YouTube ads and Facebook ads and ClickFunnels or webinars, right? And so you don't have to manually select all of the different videos, because any video that's ever been made or ever will be made with the tag or with the keywords, webinars or YouTube ads, it will automatically be in this bucket that we can target. And then what you could do once you find a few good keywords, or even just to find those keywords, is use a keyword research tool. You could do this manually on YouTube just by searching, but I actually put together keywordsearch.com, because most of the keyword research tools out there are more for Google keywords, right? You're probably familiar with some of these, Joel, right? Where you can do kind of Google pay-per-click keyword research. There wasn't really a good tool for YouTube ad keywords. And so what we did is we took a manual process that we do where we go on YouTube, you type in a keyword, let's say weight loss, and then you find all the auto suggestions, and you go and you click that, you look at all the videos, you look at the video tags and find all of the tags that video has. And then that will help you find similar tags to the original search. We did that all automatically. So what this is doing in the background is it's looking up weight loss. It's finding all the videos that rank for weight loss, and then the other tags that those videos have. And then how many people are watching, not just searches, but how many people are actually watching videos with those tags, which is more relevant here because you care about how many potential views can I get if I target each keyword. And then you can go in and select all of them. And so now you can find all of the individual keywords that you want to target with your YouTube ads. And this is going to let you find a collection of those.
Cool.
Yeah. Which is awesome. And then, of course, there's a manual version. There is this. You do have, if you go on there are free searches that you can do as well, and a pro version. But something like that is going to allow you to find more of these keywords, to start testing different keywords. Topics, again, that's more of a broader, collection of videos. So like advertising and marketing topic, that's going to be more of a broader collection of different videos that all fall under that. So this is the specific video you're targeting. And so to kind of put it all together, you're reaching them with the right video ad. And we kind of talked about this, right? So putting together the ad, this is the one I mentioned earlier, YouTube ads beat Facebook ads. You're putting in the different URLs, different headlines, long headlines, you're putting it all together. You're adding those, hook, educate, call to action, everything we talked about with a winning YouTube ad. Omnipresent retargeting works really well. That's kind of just to bring people in after the fact. Maybe we'll mention that towards the tail end. And then that's what's going to get your ads to convert. So you can see here, you've got the demographics, you've got the interest and affinity, the audience targeting, you got the intent video targeting. You're reaching the right person with the ability to invest at the right time with the right message, which is your YouTube ad. And that's how you pinpoint the perfect person and get them to convert. And that's the 3D targeting strategy.
Yeah, I mean, that's marketing 101. And I'm not minimizing anything, but it's like that is how you
Yeah.
succeed in marketing is those three keys. And I think we have a lot of rookie advertisers, and I say rookie, and I'm going to paint that in a broad brush of like really anyone in the past like 7 years who's jumped into the online marketing game probably got addicted to Facebook ads because they were relatively easy to get set up and get those kind of quick wins. And then you go in the Google platform and Google Ads, and it's just a completely different animal. It's like learning an entirely new language, and you get scared off because of how different it is. And I'm only speaking from experience. So maybe that's not your experience, as you're
A
listening to
lot of
this. Yeah.
a lot of people feel that way, right? Because they went on Facebook and it was easy and it was good while it was good, but they relied on the algorithm, and the algorithm was making up for the fact that they don't have intent, right? Targeting somebody at the right time. It's the same thing with TikTok too. I think a lot of the people that are jumping from Facebook directly to TikTok and missing out on YouTube are making a mistake because they're just going to another platform that only is built around demographics and who somebody is, but it's an interruption-based platform. So yes, because there's less advertisers, you're going to have low CPMs, and you should always, by the way, put your eggs in multiple baskets. I'm not telling you just to go only YouTube, but if you're missing out on YouTube and you're just going to TikTok now because that's easy, the problem is you're always going to be in that cycle of not actually targeting somebody when they're ready to buy and focusing on the quality, right? Is this somebody that's actually ready to take action right now? And that's what you can find on YouTube.
What do you notice in terms of like CPA when it comes to targeting intent-based buyers versus interruption-based, advertising? Intent-based advertising versus interruption-based advertising. Like, CPAs of Facebook versus YouTube/Google.
That's a great, great question. So usually what we see on the CPA side is it does depend on how layered you're getting. Typically, what we've seen historically in the past, and also what we see now, especially with Facebook lead costs rising, is as long as you're not getting really, really dialed on the like really specific on the quality side, which again is a different story. We'll talk about that in a second. We're typically seeing either equivalent or cheaper lead costs, but almost always it turns into, if you look at actual like applications, right? Phone calls, which I know a lot of us deal in, or purchases, right? Let's say you're selling a course. What we're seeing is those results are far better on YouTube. So we're seeing cheaper lead costs. We've got a lot of clients that cut their lead costs going from Facebook to YouTube because they're getting people who are intent, right? So they're trying to figure out, how can I do YouTube ads? How can I do webinars? Then you reach them at the perfect time. You get that lower lead cost. There's some people, though, are comparing apples and oranges. If they have really, really broad targeting on Facebook and they're not really focused on quality at all, and then they're targeting only top 10% on YouTube, maybe their lead cost is a little higher, but their cost to acquire should go down compared to Facebook because you're only bringing in higher qualified leads. So it's tricky when you get into lead costs, because if you're targeting a very similar thing, we're finding that YouTube's going to have that lower lead cost. But it's also going to be higher quality when you focus on those quality leads. So the easiest way to say is we've been seeing far better end results on YouTube. There's different ways to get there, whether it's using YouTube to get intent and get a wide variety of leads, which is going to be cheaper than Facebook, or dialing in and getting really specific, really focusing on quality, maybe paying either an equivalent amount or a little bit more on YouTube for the lead, but that should result in paying less for the cost to acquire and overall higher return on ad spend.
For sure. Yeah, intent's everything, man. It really is. It's like, you can have the best webinar in the world, but if that's why ads and your sales mechanism go hand in hand. I mean, it's like 50-50. You gotta place equal weight in both. Like, you can have the best webinar in the world, but if you can't get the right traffic to it, or you get the wrong ad, bringing the wrong people in, you're just as bad as if you didn't do anything. You can still be hemorrhaging money. And it's funny. We've invested a lot of time and money into studying this platform and really we're rewriting our webinar as we speak right now. And so we had a winning ad 2 or 3 years ago, and then we kind of paused the entire campaign. So we just relaunched that. It's looking good again. It just blows my mind with like all the options that you can test, like all the targeting that you can test for. Like the one that I saw on this presentation was like you can target competitors' domains. Like
Yeah.
that sucks as a competitor. Like it's like that makes me want to just like kind of take Google Analytics off my website. It's like, come on, you know.
I
But
know they're giving all this. It's so funny. Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. Well, great, man. So what's the next
Yeah.
step? So like awesome content as always. I mean, there's a reason why you're the kingpin in the YouTube ad space. I mean, it's like you're the guy, you know, you're at the top, you're at the top. That's what everyone says. You're all over the place. And you know, that's why you're an 8-figure company just specializing in YouTube ads. So like if somebody's interested in getting your help, like where do they go?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Joel. And absolutely, and exactly what you said too, which is there's a lot of options, right? There's a lot of ways to test, a lot of ways to target. And so what we do is I love working with our clients to map out, right, the perfect strategy for YouTube ads, that winning script, the hook, educate, call to action. We have copywriters on our team that can actually work with our clients to map out those winning scripts, those videos. Then we also have, our ad strategists that go in and help our clients set up the campaigns step by step, optimizing, scaling, everything we talked about. But it all starts with a complementary strategy call. So one of the things that I love to do, I talked about how I love to provide value. I talked about the ads. On this, I just want to provide as much value as possible. I think we went more time than we anticipated, just because I love like providing as much value as possible. And we do the exact same thing on our calls. So we have a strategy call. You can go to adoutreach.com, ADOUTREACH, adoutreach.com/apply, and book a strategy call with one of our top YouTube ads advisors. It's a 45-minute strategy call. And I mean it when I say I want this to be the most valuable call that you take all year, because we're going to dive in. We're going to see where your business is at right now, what you're doing with marketing. Maybe you're doing Facebook. Maybe you're testing YouTube. We want to see what you're doing there, and then map out exactly how you can craft that perfect script, how you can target the right people, map out an exact action plan on the YouTube side of things. And that's what we're excited about helping you with as well. So we want to provide a lot of value, whether or not you become a client. At the end, we'll walk you through what it looks like if it is a good fit. But either way, you'll have an exact action plan on the YouTube ad side of things so that you can implement this into your own business. So you can go to adoutreach.com/apply, and that's the best next step.
Awesome. I love it, man. Yeah, we'll make sure we include a link down below in the show notes so people can go check it out. And, if you're listening right now, I'm not saying this just to kind of put Aleric on a pedestal. I mean, he literally is. I've sent a lot of my clients there. A lot of people who are in my programs, they go and they work with Aleric. It's, Google, it can be a complicated beast. I mean, let's not can be. I mean, I just talked about how 3-4 years we've been trying to get into YouTube, and I just get scared off because the interface is so different from Facebook. But eventually we are there. We've got them live, but like, it's better if you work with somebody to shorten that learning curve. And so, I put my full stamp of approval behind Aleric and his team, and that's why I've had him on the podcast now twice. And I know that you guys are going to have an amazing results and amazing success with him as well. So I appreciate you, Aleric. It's been a blast. And for everyone else listening, we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you.